The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched across several kilometers, its crystal walls reflecting the light of 1,000 stars. Representatives from dozens of alien species sat in floating chairs arranged in perfect circles. Today's meeting was different from their usual trade discussions and border disputes. Today they were talking about something that made even the oldest council members feel afraid. High Counselor Vexani stood at the center of the hall. Her blue skin glowed softly as she activated the holographic display. Images appeared in the air above them, star maps, ship designs, and mission reports. All of them told the same terrible story. Fellow council members, Vexani began, her voice carrying across the vast space. We face a mystery that threatens the very foundation of our understanding. 7 expeditions, 7 different species, all sent to investigate or conquer a small planet in the Sol system. All have vanished without a trace. The first image showed the sleek ships of the Corax Empire. Their fleet had disappeared 3 decades ago. The Corax were known throughout the galaxy for their powerful weapons and strong armor. Their ships could destroy entire moons, yet they had sent no distress call when they reached Earth. Next came the image of the Threnody war machines. These spider-like creatures built ships the size of small cities. They had conquered hundreds of worlds with ease. Their expedition to Earth had vanished 5 years after the Corax. Again, no word, no signal, no survivors. The list continued. The crystal beings called the Zarthek had sent their living ships to Earth. Gone. The machine intelligence known as Unit Prime had dispatched its most advanced drones. Vanished. The warrior race of the Brutari, the peaceful explorers called the Gentle Ones, and most recently the shape-shifting Morphic Collective, all had sent forces to this mysterious planet. None had returned. What do we know about this world? Asked Counselor Garn, his massive form shifting in his chair. The rock-like creature had lived for over 2,000 years and had never seen anything like this. Vexani waved her hand, and new images appeared. A blue and green planet orbited a yellow star. It looked beautiful and peaceful from space. The data showed it was covered mostly with water, had breathable air, and supported millions of different life forms. The planet is called Earth by its inhabitants, Vexani explained. Our long-range scans show a single dominant species, humans. They are carbon-based, warm-blooded creatures that walk on 2 legs. They have only existed for a few million years, which makes them very young compared to most galactic species. Another council member spoke up. This was Quell, whose insect-like species had been part of the council for over 50,000 years. What is their technology level? Do they have energy shields, planet-destroying weapons, some kind of space fleet we cannot detect? The answer made the entire council fall silent. Earth's technology was primitive beyond belief. The humans had only learned to fly through their own atmosphere about 100 years ago. They had reached their own moon just 60 years back, using crude chemical rockets that barely worked. Their most powerful weapons were simple nuclear bombs, dangerous to themselves, but toys compared to what any council species could build. This cannot be correct, rumbled Garn. 7 fleets, including the Brutari war machine, cannot simply vanish to a species that has not even left their own solar system properly. But the data was clear. Earth had no space fleet, no orbital defense platforms, no energy barriers protecting their planet. Their cities were visible from space, unprotected and seemingly helpless. Yet somehow every force sent against them had disappeared completely. There must be something we are missing, said Quell, her compound eyes reflecting the holographic display. Perhaps they have hidden technology. Maybe they are pretending to be primitive while hiding advanced weapons. Vexani activated another set of data. We have been watching Earth for 200 years. We have intercepted their communications, observed their behavior, studied their society. They spend most of their time fighting each other over resources, territory, and ideas. They have divided their planet into nearly 200 separate nations that constantly argue and compete. They seem to have no unity, no grand plan, no secret knowledge. The council members looked at each other with growing confusion. How could Such a divided primitive species defeats 7 different galactic powers. It made no sense according to everything they knew about warfare, technology, and galactic civilization. Perhaps, suggested another member, they have some natural ability we do not understand. Some biological advantage that makes them dangerous in ways we cannot predict. More data appeared. Human biology was well within normal limits for carbon-based life. They were actually quite fragile compared to most galactic species. They lived for less than 100 years. They needed constant food and water, and they could be killed by simple diseases or injuries. They had good eyes and ears, but nothing special. Their brains were efficient but not remarkable compared to other intelligent species. What about allies? Asked Garn. Maybe they have formed secret partnerships with other species. Hidden protectors, we know nothing about. But again, the evidence showed nothing. Earth had no contact with any galactic civilization except for the expeditions that had vanished. The humans seemed completely unaware that they were part of a galaxy filled with intelligent life. Their radio signals and space probes showed they were still searching for signs of other intelligent species. The mystery deepened with every piece of information. The humans appeared to be exactly what they seemed, a young, primitive, divided species that had barely learned to leave their home planet. Yet they had somehow defeated forces that could have destroyed entire star systems. High Counselor Vexani looked around the Great Hall. Every face showed the same expression of confusion and growing concern. In 10,000 years of galactic civilization, nothing like this had ever happened. I propose, she said finally, that we send one more expedition. But this time we send our best. The Zephyrian Empire has volunteered to investigate. Their technology is the most advanced in our council. Their military has never known defeat. If anyone can solve this mystery and return to tell us what happened, it will be them. The Zephyrians were indeed impressive. Their ships could travel between stars in days rather than months. Their weapons could crack planets in half. Their soldiers wore armor that made them nearly invincible. Most importantly, they were careful and smart. They would not rush into battle like some of the previous expeditions had done. The Zephyrian fleet will approach Earth with caution, Vexani continued. They will study the planet carefully before making any contact. They will try to determine what happened to our missing ships and why this primitive world has become a graveyard for galactic forces. The vote was unanimous. The Zephyrian Empire would investigate Earth and finally solve the mystery that had puzzled the Council for decades. As the meeting ended and the representatives began to leave, none of them could imagine what the Zephyrian expedition would discover. None of them understood that they were about to learn something terrible about the small blue planet and its human inhabitants. Something that would change how they viewed the galaxy forever. Admiral Kextar of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet received his orders 3 days later. He was to take the most powerful battle group in Zephyrian history to the Sol system and investigate the disappearance of 7 galactic expeditions. The mission seemed simple enough. He had no idea that he was about to become part of the very mystery he was sent to solve. Admiral Kextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the yellow star grow larger on the main screen. The Sol system looked completely ordinary. One average star with several planets orbiting around it. Nothing about it suggested danger or mystery. Yet 7 galactic expeditions had vanished here without sending so much as a single distress signal. The Zephyrian battle group was the largest and most powerful fleet ever assembled by the Council. 50 warships, each one capable of destroying cities from orbit. The flagship alone carried enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. Support vessels filled with the most advanced scanning equipment in the galaxy followed behind the main fleet. Admiral, called his second-in-command, Commander Yilseth, we are approaching the outer edge of the system. Should we begin deep scans? Kextar nodded. He had been studying the reports about Earth during the long journey from Zephyrian space. Every piece of information made the mystery deeper. How could such a primitive world defeat 7 different galactic powers? There had to be something the previous expeditions had missed. Begin full-spectrum analysis, he ordered. I want to know about every rock and ice chunk in this system. If there are hidden defense platforms or cloaked ships, we will find them. The scanning began immediately. Powerful energy beams swept through space looking for any sign of advanced technology or hidden threats. The results appeared on screens around the bridge within minutes. "Admiral," reported the sensor officer, her voice puzzled. "We are detecting the remains of several ships in the outer system. The metal signatures match the missing expeditions." Kextar felt a chill run through his body. "Show me." The main screen changed to display a detailed map of the Sol system. Red dots marked the locations where pieces of the lost fleets had been found. They were scattered across a wide area, some near the gas giant planets, others floating in the space between worlds. "What condition are the remains in?" Kextar asked. "That is the strange part, sir. The pieces are very small. It appears that the ships were completely destroyed, broken down into fragments no larger than a few meters across. We cannot determine what weapons caused this level of destruction." Kextar studied the display carefully. Complete destruction of entire fleets was not easy to achieve, even with the most advanced weapons. It usually required sustained bombardment or the use of planet-killing devices. But there were no signs of such massive weapons anywhere in the system. "Continue scanning toward the inner planets," he ordered. "Focus especially on the third planet, Earth." As they moved deeper into the system, more surprises appeared on the sensors. The third planet was indeed inhabited, and the inhabitants were definitely primitive. Their largest cities were visible from space, completely unprotected by energy, shields, or defensive barriers. Small satellites orbited the planet, but they were clearly simple communication and observation devices. "Admiral," called the communications officer, "we are intercepting radio signals from the planet. The inhabitants appear to be broadcasting constantly on hundreds of different frequencies." "What kind of signals? Entertainment programs? News? Reports, personal communications? Also, sir, they are tracking us." Kextar turned sharply toward the communications station. "What do you mean, tracking us?" "Several of their military installations are sending radio signals directly toward our fleet. They know we are here, and they are watching our movements." This was unexpected. Most primitive species either could not detect approaching ships or became terrified when they did. The humans seemed to be doing neither. Instead, they were calmly observing the Zephyrian fleet as if alien visitors were a normal occurrence. "Are they sending any messages to us?" Kextar asked. "Yes, sir. Multiple messages in several different languages. We are translating them now." The communications officer paused, looking confused. "Sir, they are welcoming us. Some of the messages say they have been expecting us. Others are asking if we need assistance or directions to their planet." Kextar stared at the main screen. In his 300 years of military service, he had never encountered a species that reacted to an approaching war fleet by offering directions and assistance. Most species either surrendered immediately or prepared for battle. The humans seemed to be doing something completely different. "What about their military forces?" he asked. "Are they moving into defensive positions?" The tactical officer checked his displays. "Yes and no, sir. Their military units are definitely moving, but not into any defensive pattern we recognize. They appear to be spreading out across their planet and taking positions in their cities and industrial areas. It is almost like they are preparing for what, Commander?" "For a ground invasion, sir. As if they expect us to land troops and fight building by building through their cities." This made no sense to Kextar. Any species facing a superior space fleet would try to keep the battle in space, where they might have some small chance of success. Moving ground forces into cities was what you did when you had already lost the space battle and were preparing for occupation. But that strategy only worked if you had some way to damage the occupying forces. "Show me detailed scans of their technology," Kextar ordered. The science officer activated another display. Their most advanced weapons appear to be chemical explosives and simple nuclear devices. Their vehicles use primitive engines that burn fossil fuels or split atoms. Their aircraft cannot even leave their atmosphere without using massive chemical rockets. "What about their population and military size?" "Approximately 7 billion individuals total. Military forces number in the hundreds of millions, but they are divided among nearly 200 separate nations. These nations appear to compete with each other constantly. Many of them are actively fighting wars against each other even now. Kextar felt a mixture of confusion and slight insult. The humans were not only primitive, they were divided and already fighting among themselves. How could such a chaotic, weak species defeat 7 galactic expeditions? Admiral, the communications officer spoke again. We are receiving a direct transmission from the planet. It appears to be from one of their military leaders. Put it on the main screen. The image that appeared showed a middle-aged human male wearing a military uniform. He had graying hair and calm eyes that showed no sign of fear. Behind him, Kextar could see what appeared to be a command center filled with primitive computers and communication equipment. Greetings, the human said, in a clear voice. I am General Harrison of the United Earth Defense Command. We have been monitoring your approach and wanted to welcome you to our solar system. We assume you are here for the same reason as the others who came before you. We want you to know that we are ready. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Kextar replayed the message several times, studying the human's expression and tone. There had been no fear, no pleading, no threats. Just a simple statement that they were ready. Admiral, Commander Yilseth said quietly, what did he mean by the same reason as the others? And what are they ready for? Kextar did not answer immediately. He was beginning to understand that the humans knew about the previous expeditions. Somehow they were aware that 7 different alien fleets had come to their world. But if they knew about those expeditions, they also knew that none of those fleets had ever left. Sir, the sensor officer reported, we are detecting increased activity across the planet. Power levels are rising in their major cities. Their communication networks are becoming much more active. And, sir, they appear to be moving large amounts of military equipment into position. What kind of equipment? Missile launchers, aircraft, ground vehicles, and large numbers of soldiers. But, sir, they are not trying to hide any of it. They seem to want us to see what they are doing. Kextar studied the tactical display showing Earth. Red symbols marked human military positions appearing across the entire planet. There were thousands of them, and more were appearing every minute. It was as if the entire human species was preparing for war, but that was impossible. No primitive species would choose to fight against a superior galactic fleet. It would be suicide. Unless... Commander, Kextar said slowly, scan the debris field again. Look specifically for signs of how those ships were destroyed. After several minutes, the sensor officer looked up with a puzzled expression. Sir, the damage patterns are very strange. It appears that the ships were destroyed by their own weapons, as if their energy systems were somehow turned against them. Kextar felt a cold understanding begin to form in his mind. The humans had not defeated 7 galactic expeditions through superior technology or hidden weapons. They had somehow turned each fleet's own power against itself. Admiral, the communications officer called out urgently, we are receiving thousands of new transmissions from Earth. The humans appear to be broadcasting detailed information about our ships, our weapons, and our technology. They are sharing this information across their entire planet. How could they know details about our technology? Unknown, sir. But they are describing our shield systems, weapon capabilities, and ship designs with remarkable accuracy. It is as if they have studied ships like ours before. The cold understanding in Kextar's mind became a chill of real fear. Admiral Kextar had seen enough. Despite the growing unease among his crew, he could not justify returning to the Galactic Council empty-handed. 7 expeditions had failed, but they had all been smaller forces or single-species fleets. The Zephyrian battle group was different. It was the most powerful military force ever assembled, with technology that surpassed anything the previous expeditions had possessed. Begin the assault, he ordered. Target their major cities and military installations. Use minimal force at first. We want to understand their capabilities before committing to total destruction. The first wave of Zephyrian attack ships descended toward Earth's atmosphere. Their energy shields glowed bright blue as they entered the planet's upper air layers. Below them, the human cities looked peaceful and unprotected, their lights twinkling in the darkness like stars. Weapons locked on primary targets, reported the tactical officer. Beginning bombardment. Bright beams of plasma energy lanced down from the attacking ships, striking military bases and communication centers across the planet. The weapons that could melt through starship armor cut through human buildings like they were made of paper. Explosions bloomed across the Earth's surface as the most advanced weapons in the galaxy found their targets. Direct hits confirmed on all primary targets, the tactical officer announced. Human military response appears minimal. We are detecting some missile launches, but their primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Kextar watched the display, showing the battle. Everything was proceeding exactly as expected. Human missiles exploded harmlessly against Zephyrian energy barriers. Their aircraft could not even reach the attacking ships before being destroyed by defensive systems. It seemed that the mystery of the 7 lost expeditions would finally be solved. There had simply been some kind of accident or equipment failure. The humans were exactly as primitive and helpless as they appeared, but then something strange began to happen. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, her voice confused. "The humans are broadcasting detailed technical information about our attack. They are describing our weapon frequencies, shield harmonics, and tactical patterns. They are sharing this data across their entire planet in real time. How could they analyze our technology so quickly?" "Unknown, sir. But they appear to have recorded everything about our attack and are now studying it. Their scientists and engineers are working together across their entire planet, sharing information faster than we thought possible." Kextar frowned. Rapid information sharing was not necessarily dangerous, but it was unusual for such a primitive species. Most civilizations took months or years to analyze new technology. The humans seemed to be doing it in hours. "Continue the attack," he ordered. "Increase pressure on their major population centers." The second wave of ships descended toward Earth, targeting the largest human cities. But as they approached their targets, something unexpected happened. The humans had moved. Military units that had been in the cities minutes before were no longer there. Instead, they had spread out into smaller groups hiding in forests, mountains, and underground tunnels. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "we are having difficulty targeting human forces. They appear to have abandoned fixed positions and are now operating in small mobile units. Find them and destroy them. Use ground-penetrating scanners." But the scanning revealed something disturbing. The humans had not just hidden, they had positioned themselves near important infrastructure that the Zephyrians needed intact. Power plants, water treatment facilities, and manufacturing centers all had human soldiers hidden nearby. Attacking these positions would destroy the very resources that made the planet valuable. "Admiral," Commander Yilseth said quietly, "they appear to be forcing us to choose between destroying them and preserving the planet's infrastructure." Kextar realized that the humans were using a strategy no civilized species would employ. They were making themselves impossible to defeat without rendering their own world worthless. It was like threatening to poison your own water supply to prevent an enemy from drinking it. "Deploy ground forces," he ordered. "We will rout them, out building by building if necessary." The first Zephyrian troops landed in the ruins of New York City. They wore advanced armor that made them nearly invulnerable to human weapons, and they carried energy rifles that could cut through steel. Each soldier was equipped with sensors that could detect human life signs through walls and underground. The initial landings went smoothly. Human resistance seemed scattered and ineffective. Their bullets bounced off Zephyrian armor, and their explosives barely scratched the advanced materials. Within hours, Zephyrian forces had secured several city blocks and were preparing to expand their control. But then the real fighting began. The humans did not fight like any military force the Zephyrians had ever encountered. Instead of forming battle lines or trying to hold territory, they attacked from everywhere at once. They emerged from sewers, dropped from buildings, and struck from hidden tunnels that seemed to connect the entire city. "Sir," reported the ground commander, "the enemy is using tactics we have never seen before. They appear to have no concern for their own survival. We have multiple reports of humans attacking our positions with explosive devices strapped to their own bodies." Kextar stared at the reports coming in from the surface. Individual humans were throwing themselves at Zephyrian soldiers while carrying bombs, sacrificing their lives to damage a single enemy soldier. No rational military force used such tactics. The loss ratio was terrible. Dozens of humans died for every Zephyrian casualty. But the humans seemed to consider this acceptable. Worse, they were learning. After each attack, the survivors studied Zephyrian equipment left behind. Within days, human engineers had figured out how to modify their primitive weapons to be more effective against Zephyrian armor. They could not replicate the advanced technology, but they could find its weak points. "Admiral," the science officer called urgently from his station. "We have a problem. The humans are using biological weapons." "What kind of biological weapons?" "They have released modified diseases into areas where our troops are operating. The diseases appear to be designed specifically to attack Zephyrian biology. So this should be impossible. They should not know enough about our physiology to create targeted biological agents, but somehow they did know. The humans had studied the bodies of Zephyrian soldiers killed in the fighting and had quickly identified biological vulnerabilities. Their scientists had then modified existing Earth diseases to exploit these weaknesses. It was a level of rapid adaptation that should have taken years, not days. The situation on the ground continued to deteriorate. Human resistance fighters had begun using psychological warfare, broadcasting disturbing images and sounds that affected Zephyrian mental stability. They had started using chemical weapons that created hallucinations and panic among the troops. Most disturbing of all, they had begun taking Zephyrian prisoners and somehow extracting detailed technical information from them. "How are they getting information from our captured soldiers?" Kextar demanded. "Unknown, sir. But they appear to have developed interrogation techniques specifically designed for our species. They know exactly how to break down Zephyrian mental defenses." This was impossible. The humans should not know anything about Zephyrian psychology or biology, yet they were demonstrating detailed knowledge of both. It was as if they had studied Zephyrian prisoners before. "Admiral," Commander Yilseth said, her voice shaking slightly, "I have been reviewing the tactical reports. The humans are not just fighting us. They are studying us. Every attack they make is designed to gather information about our capabilities. They are treating this entire battle as a learning experience." Kextar felt a terrible understanding begin to form. "Show me the detailed analysis of the previous expedition's wreckage." The display changed to show the scattered remains of the 7 lost fleets. But now, with more careful analysis, a pattern emerged. Each fleet had been destroyed using methods that exploited specific weaknesses in their technology. The Korax ships had been torn apart by weapons that targeted their power cores. The Threnody vessels had been destroyed by attacks that disrupted their biological components. Each expedition had been defeated by tactics specifically designed for their unique characteristics. "Sir," the sensor officer reported, "we are detecting massive industrial activity across the human planet. They appear to be manufacturing new weapons and equipment using principles derived from our technology." "What kind of weapons?" "Energy weapons similar to our own, but modified to use human manufacturing techniques. Armor that incorporates elements of our shield technology. And sir, they are building them very fast. Much faster than should be possible." The humans were not just fighting the Zephyrian invasion, they were using it to advance their own technology by hundreds of years. Every piece of equipment they captured, every soldier they studied, every battle they fought, was teaching them something new. They were treating the invasion as the greatest educational opportunity in their species' history. "Admiral," the ground commander's voice came through the communicator. "We need immediate evacuation from Sector 7. 3 weeks into the assault on Earth, Admiral Kextar stood in his private quarters staring at reports that made no sense. His fleet, the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever assembled, was losing to a species that barely understood the principles of spaceflight. Not just losing, being systematically dismantled by an enemy that seemed to learn faster than they could be defeated. The numbers told a story that violated everything he knew about warfare. Zephyrian casualties were mounting while human resistance was becoming stronger. Weapons that had worked perfectly in the first days of the invasion were now useless, countered by human adaptations that should have taken years to develop. Equipment that should have been impossible for humans to understand was being reverse-engineered and improved upon in a matter of hours. "Computer," he said to his ship's artificial intelligence, "display all available records of the previous expeditions to Earth." The holographic display activated, showing detailed files that had taken months to compile. The Galactic Council had gathered every piece of information they could find about the lost fleets: debris patterns, final transmissions, and energy signatures. Kextar had studied these files before beginning his own mission, but now he was looking for something different. "Focus on the technological analysis of the wreckage. Show me exactly how each fleet was destroyed." New images appeared in the air around him. The Corax Empire's ships had been torn apart by weapons that specifically targeted their unique power core design. But Corax power cores were unlike any other technology in the galaxy. How could the humans have known how to attack them without detailed study? The Threnody war machines had been destroyed by a biological agent that attacked the living components of their ships. But Threnody biotechnology was a closely guarded secret. No other species understood how their organic ships functioned. Yet the humans had found a way to kill living starships with surgical precision. The pattern continued through all 7 expeditions. Each had been defeated by methods that exploited their specific weaknesses. Not general attacks that might work against any enemy, but targeted strategies designed for that exact type of technology and tactics. "Computer, overlay the timeline of the expeditions with the advancement of human technology." A new display showed the dates when each fleet had arrived at Earth and the level of human technology at those times. The correlation was undeniable. After each expedition, human technology had advanced dramatically. Not gradually over decades, as would be normal for a developing species, but in sudden jumps that corresponded exactly with the arrivals of alien fleets. Kextar felt his blood turn cold as the truth became clear. The humans had not just defeated 7 galactic expeditions, they had learned from them. Each attacking fleet had become a source of knowledge, technology, and advancement for the human species. The expeditions had not been destroyed. They had been consumed, digested, and turned into weapons for Earth's defense. "Show me the progression of human weapons technology over the past century." The display revealed something that should have been impossible. Human weapons had evolved from simple chemical explosives to energy-based systems in less than 50 years. Their understanding of physics had advanced by centuries in the same time period. Their manufacturing capabilities had grown exponentially, far beyond what their population and resources should have supported. But the most disturbing revelation was still to come. "Computer, analyze the tactical patterns used by human forces against our ground troops. Compare them to known military doctrines from the previous expeditions." The analysis took several minutes, but the results confirmed Kextar's worst fears. The humans were using fighting techniques developed by the Brutari warrior caste, combined with Threnody biological warfare methods and Corax energy weapon tactics. They had not just learned from the technology of their defeated enemies, they had absorbed their knowledge of warfare itself. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission from the surface. Commander Yilseth's image appeared on the communication screen, her usually composed expression showing signs of strain and fear. "Admiral," she said, "I need to show you something we discovered in the ruins of Chicago. We found what appears to be a human research facility." The image changed to show the interior of a vast underground complex. Kextar could see row after row of examination tables, each one containing pieces of alien technology. Corax power cores sat next to Threnody biological components. Brutari weapons were mounted alongside Zarthek crystal formations. It was a museum of galactic military technology, all of it clearly studied and analyzed. "The facility appears to have been in operation for decades," Yilseth continued. "We found detailed records of experiments conducted on technology from all 7 previous expeditions. The humans have been systematically studying and reverse engineering every piece of alien equipment they could recover. But that was not the worst part. In deeper sections of the facility, Kextar could see something that made him feel sick. preserved biological samples from every species that had attacked Earth, Corax tissue, Threnody organs, Brutari genetic material, all carefully stored and labeled for study. "Admiral," Yilseth said quietly, "they have been studying us. Not just our technology, but our biology, our psychology, our tactical thinking. They know more about galactic species than most galactic species know about themselves." The transmission showed more rooms filled with alien artifacts and research notes. But the most disturbing discovery was a vast computer system that appeared to be running simulations, thousands of different scenarios showing various alien species attacking Earth, with detailed analysis of how to defeat each one. They have been preparing, Kextar realized with growing horror. This was never about defending against random attacks. They have been expecting us, all of us. "Sir," Yilseth continued, "we found something else. Records indicating that the humans have been deliberately broadcasting signals into space for decades. Radio transmissions and energy signatures designed to attract the attention of galactic civilizations." The terrible truth hit Kextar like a physical blow. The humans had not just been defending their planet from alien invaders. They had been luring them in. The primitive radio signals, the unprotected cities, the apparent helplessness. It had all been bait in a trap designed to capture galactic expeditions. "Show me their current industrial output," he ordered the computer. The display revealed massive manufacturing complexes across the Earth, all of them producing weapons and equipment based on galactic technology. The humans were not just defending themselves anymore. They were preparing for something much larger. Computer, Project Human Technological Advancement based on current learning rate. The projection that appeared made Kextar stagger backward. If the humans continued to advance, at their current rate, absorbing and improving upon galactic technology, they would surpass most council species within a decade. Within a century, they would possess technology that exceeded anything in the known galaxy. But even that was not the most terrifying possibility. The humans had demonstrated an ability to learn and adapt that far exceeded any other species. They improved upon captured technology rather than simply copying it. They found weaknesses in galactic military doctrine that had never been discovered before. They combined different technologies in ways that their original creators had never imagined. A new transmission came from the surface. This time it was from one of his ground commanders, and the officer's voice was shaking with panic. "Admiral, you need to see this immediately. The humans have deployed new weapons that use principles from our own technology, but modified in ways we do not understand. They are more effective than our original versions." The transmission showed human soldiers, carrying energy weapons that looked similar to Zephyrian designs, but the energy signatures were different. Somehow the humans had taken advanced galactic technology and made it better. "Sir," the ground commander continued, "they are not just copying our equipment, they are improving it. Their weapons are more efficient, their armor is stronger, and their tactics are more effective than ours." Kextar realized that the Zephyrian expedition was not just failing, it was being turned into another learning opportunity for the humans. Every battle, every captured soldier, every piece of equipment was teaching them something new about galactic civilization and technology. "Admiral," Commander Yilseth said from the surface, "I recommend immediate withdrawal. We are not fighting a primitive species. We are fighting something that grows stronger with every encounter. If we continue this assault, we will only make them more dangerous." But Kextar knew that withdrawal was no longer an option. The humans had already learned too much from the Zephyrian fleet. If they escaped now, Earth would use that knowledge to prepare for future expeditions. The next galactic force to arrive here would face humans equipped with improved versions of Zephyrian technology. Worse, the humans might not wait for the next expedition to come to them. With their rapidly advancing technology and their detailed knowledge of galactic civilizations, they might decide to take the offensive. They might become the ones launching expeditions to other worlds. "Sir," his communications officer called from the bridge. Admiral Kextar stood alone on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, watching the tactical display that showed the complete collapse of his invasion force. Of the 50 ships that had arrived at Earth 6 weeks ago, only 12 remained operational. The rest had been destroyed, captured or disabled by human forces that had grown stronger with each passing day. The reports from his remaining ground commanders painted a picture of total defeat. Human soldiers now carried weapons that surpassed Zephyrian technology. Their vehicles used improved versions of captured alien engines. Their communication systems had somehow been integrated with Zephyrian networks, allowing them to intercept and decode all military transmissions. Most disturbing of all, the humans had begun using captured Zephyrian soldiers as sources of information about galactic civilization, not through torture or coercion, but through methods that seemed to convince the prisoners to cooperate willingly. His officers were providing detailed intelligence about council worlds, military capabilities, and political structures. "Admiral," Commander Yilseth reported from the surface, "the humans have made an offer. They are willing to allow our remaining forces to evacuate safely in exchange for a complete technical database of our ship systems." Kextar almost laughed at the irony. The humans were offering to spare his fleet in exchange for the very information they would eventually extract from captured ships anyway. They were being generous with an enemy they had already defeated. "Decline their offer," he said quietly. "Continue fighting." But he knew it was hopeless. The humans had demonstrated that they could defeat any galactic force sent against them, not through superior firepower, but through their terrifying ability to learn and adapt. They turned every attack into a lesson, every weapon into a tool, for their own advancement. The communication system activated without his command, displaying the image of General Chen once again. This time, she was wearing armor that incorporated design elements from all 8 expeditions that had come to Earth. Korax power systems, Threnody biological components, Brutari structural materials, and Zephyrian energy shields had been combined into something that surpassed the original technologies. "Admiral," she said with what appeared to be genuine respect, "your forces have fought bravely, but this engagement is over. We are prepared to offer terms for the surrender of your remaining ships." "I will never surrender to a primitive species," Kextar replied, though the words felt hollow even as he spoke them. General Chen smiled sadly. "Admiral, we stopped being primitive the moment the first galactic expedition arrived at our world. Each of your predecessors taught us something new about the universe beyond our planet. You have taught us more than all the others combined." She gestured, and the display behind her showed detailed schematics of Zephyrian technology. Not just copied, but improved and enhanced beyond the original specifications. "Your energy shields are impressive," she continued, "but we have found ways to make them 30% more efficient. Your weapons are powerful, but we have discovered how to increase their output while reducing their energy requirements. Your ships are fast, but we have learned to build engines that exceed their performance using materials available on Earth." Kextar stared at the improvements that human engineers had made to his own technology. In 6 weeks, they had advanced, beyond what it had taken Zephyrian scientists centuries to develop. "How?" he asked, despite himself. "Because we had to," General Chen replied simply. "Every species that has come to our world has been more advanced than us. The only way we could survive was to learn faster than they could adapt. We developed that capability over generations of conflict with each other, and we applied it to our encounters with galactic civilizations." The display changed to show Earth's history, thousands of years of constant warfare between human nations, each conflict driving rapid advancement in technology and tactics. The humans had been preparing for galactic contact their entire history without even knowing it. "We do not hate you, Admiral," General Chen continued. "We understand that you were sent here by your government to solve a mystery. You have served your species with honor, but your mission is complete. You now know what happened to the previous expeditions." Kextar felt the weight of that knowledge pressing down on him. The Galactic Council had sent him to investigate the disappearance of 7 fleets. Now he understood that those fleets had not simply vanished. They had been absorbed into Earth's growing technological and military capabilities. "What happens now?" he asked. "That depends on the Galactic Council," General Chen replied. "We have no desire for conflict with galactic civilization. We did not ask for these expeditions to come to our world, but we will defend ourselves against any future attacks, and each attack will only make us stronger. The threat was clear without being stated directly. The humans were willing to remain isolated on their small planet, but any attempt to conquer or destroy them would result in their rapid advancement toward galactic-level technology. And once they achieved that level of advancement, they might not be content to remain isolated. "Admiral," his sensor officer called urgently. "We are detecting massive energy signatures from Earth's surface. The humans appear to be activating some kind of planetary defense system." The main display showed energy readings that exceeded anything in Zephyrian technology. Somehow, in just 6 weeks, the humans had constructed defensive systems that surpassed the most advanced galactic civilizations. "This is your final opportunity to withdraw," General Chen said, her voice becoming more formal. "We are about to test our new planetary defense grid based on improved versions of technology from all 8 galactic expeditions. I would prefer not to demonstrate its capabilities on your remaining ships." Kekstar looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They had served him faithfully through an impossible mission, and they deserved to return to their families. The invasion of Earth was over, and continuing to fight would only provide the humans with more opportunities to study Zephyrian technology. "Signal all remaining ships," he ordered. "Prepare for immediate withdrawal from the Sol system." But as his fleet began to move away from Earth, Kekstar activated his personal communication system to record a message for the Galactic Council. It might be the most important message in galactic history. "This is Admiral Kekstar of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet," he began, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what he was reporting. "I am transmitting this message as my fleet withdraws from the Sol system after a failed invasion of the planet Earth." He paused, watching Earth shrink on his display as his ships accelerated away from the planet. The mystery of the 7 lost expeditions has been solved. They were not destroyed by superior technology or hidden weapons. They were consumed by a species that treats every attack as an opportunity to learn and grow stronger. The humans do not just defend their world, they absorb their attackers, studying their technology, their biology, and their tactical doctrines. The images from the underground research facility flashed through his memory. Thousands of pieces of alien technology, all studied and improved upon. Each expedition that has come to Earth has advanced human civilization by centuries. They now possess technology that rivals or exceeds most galactic civilizations, and they continue to improve it at an unprecedented rate. They have demonstrated the ability to reverse engineer and enhance any technology they encounter. Kekstar thought about the human soldiers carrying improved versions of Zephyrian weapons and the defensive systems that had made his own fleet obsolete in a matter of weeks. More importantly, they have shown that they do not fight wars the way civilized species do. They fight for survival, and they will use any method necessary to ensure that survival. They turn their enemies' strengths against them and learn from every encounter. He paused again, knowing that his next words would change galactic policy forever. "I recommend that the Sol system be declared a forbidden zone. No galactic civilization should attempt contact with Earth under any circumstances, not because the humans are evil or aggressive, but because they are too dangerous to be threatened. Every attack makes them stronger. Every invasion teaches them something new. If galactic civilization continues to send expeditions to Earth, we will eventually face humans who have mastered technology beyond our current understanding." The final part of his message was the hardest to record. "Mark my words, fellow council members. If humanity is ever forced to defend itself against the combined might of galactic civilization, they will not just survive. They will win. And once they win, they will have learned everything they need to know to take their place as the dominant force in the galaxy." Kekstar ended the recording and transmitted it toward Council space using the most powerful communication array on his flagship. It would take months for the message to reach the Galactic Council, but when it did, it would change everything. As his fleet passed the outer edge of the Sol system, Admiral Kekstar took one last look at the small blue planet that had defeated the most powerful military force in galactic history. Earth looked peaceful from this distance, just another world orbiting an ordinary star. But he knew the truth. Humanity was no longer bound by the limitations of their birth world.